Om Sai Ram. Let us understand chapter number 51 of the Sai Satcharithra, a triad of stories of three devotees. But before that, let us do the Namasmaran, followed by chapter number 51, and we will conclude chapter number 51 with the Aarti. श्री सच्चिदानंद सतगुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय। ओम श्री साईनाथाय नमः। 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 Om Sai Ram. Chapter number 51. A triad of stories of three devotees. I bow down to Shri Ganesh. I bow down to Shri Saraswati. I bow down to the Guru. I bow down to the family deity. I bow down to Shri Sita Ramachandra. I bow down to Shri Satguru Sainath. Hail, 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 Sai, the supporter of devotees, the greatest of the Gurus, who has shed light on the meaning of the Gita, bestower of all cities. May your grace be upon me. Sandalwood grows on the Malya range of mountains to counteract the heat of the summer or the clouds of the rain of happiness for the people on the earth. Our flowers bloom in the spring for the worship of deities or the satisfaction of the listeners. There arise a tradition of narration of stories and parables. On hearing the Sai Satcharithra, the listeners and the narrator both are purified. The ears of the listeners are purified, and so is the mouth of the narrator. In the last chapter, how knowledge manifests on the destruction of ignorance was narrated with the meaning of the words commencing with the words Tat Vidhi Pariprashnena. At the end of the Bhagavad Gita, at the conclusion of the 18th chapter, in the 72nd verse, Sri Krishna asks Arjuna by the discourse has been given up till now? Have your desires been removed? This was a clear question, not whether he gained knowledge. Similarly, Partha Arjuna reciprocated, my desires have been scattered. He said, I have not gained knowledge, but my desires are destroyed. The other name for desire is ignorance. They merely appear as two different words. There is no difference in their meaning. Those who are learned in the Gita know this. By the advice that you have given me, my desires is my ignorance has been destroyed. Arjuna told Shri Krishna in the beginning of the 11th chapter. In the present new chapter, I shall narrate a unique story about Kaka Sahib Hari Sitaram Dikshit and how he established in Shirdi. Here, from the beginning, about his ties with Shirdi on account of his past birth and his close association with Sai, and the principal reason which determined all this. There are many stories about him which is well known to young and old, but all do not know how he happened to come to Shirdi in the first instance. This story is the merit of earlier lives which granted him God's grace and which later resulted in meeting Sadguru, who blesses the disciples with self bliss. In this chapter, I will narrate to us a triad of stories of three devotees who became famous. They will bring peace to the heart of the listeners. We may try hundreds of means of Sadguru to attain spiritual goal, but without the grace of Sadguru, this is not possible to achieve the goal of life. Listening to this sweet story will fulfill the longing of the listeners. Love for such stories will manifest, and the desire for one's own welfare will increase. This is the most purifying chapter that will satisfy the devotees of a guru. Listeners should hear it attentively for their own well being. Hari Sitaram Dikshit, known as Kaka Sahib with respect to all devotees of Baba and is remembered with love. His earlier background is well known, pleasing, and interesting. Therefore, I shall narrate to the ardent devotees. It will give happiness to those who are eager to hear his life story. He who did not even know that the name of Sai till 1909 became a great devotee of Sai, who is well known to all. Many years after his university education, Nana Sahib Chandolkar came once to Lonavala. Dikshit was his old friend whom he met after several years. They talked about their welfare with each other. Dikshit told him about his accident in London, which his foot slipped while boarding the train, the trouble he had suffered from which he could not be relieved despite 100 remedies. The detailed story about this injury came out in the natural course of conversation. It reminded Nana of the usefulness of Shri Sai Baba in such cases. Do you feel that you would like to get rid of your lameness forever? If so, come for my Guru's darshan, said Nana to him. Then Nana, believing it to be unique, narrated in detail about Sai's nature, glory, and greatness. Sai being the jewel among saints, I draw me to my man from far across, even across seven seas, like a sparrow with a string fastened to its feet. This is Baba's usual assurance. Moreover, Nana had given a long discourse. He said, if you are not my man, you will not be attracted to him. If you are, so be it. Hearing all these descriptions about Sai, Dikshit felt a, hearing all these descriptions about Sai, Dikshit felt great satisfaction. Then he said to Nana, I will take Baba's darshan. Why talk about the pain in my leg? The whole body is perishable. Let the injury to my leg as long as it does. I am not worried about it. I will go for my Guru's darshan, but for the bliss of attaining liberation. I will not have any wishes placed in front of his feet. There is no happiness union in with Brahman. That is the only priceless happiness. I will become a servitor of your Guru only for this invaluable bliss. Let the lameness of my leg be. It does not distress me. But I would pray for the lame, fickle mind to be brought around. I have got very tired of making efforts, but mind does not become steady. When I make efforts to control it, it runs amok without my knowledge. However, attentively I may try to bring it under control. I do not know when I will escape from that maze. Therefore, Nana, with my whole heart, I will take you to my Guru's darshan. I will pray to him to remove this impairment of the mind. Sai, who is supremely eager for spiritual attainment of such a devotee who is not interested in pleasures of the perishable body but who longed for ultimate bliss. The election of the legislative council was a topic of conversation everywhere. The people were engaged in this work with many places. Kaka Sahib Dikshit came suddenly to Ahmedabad to canvass for votes for himself and was meeting people for this purpose. There was a chieftain by the name of Kaka Sahib Mirkar Dikshit had close family relations with him. He therefore stayed there with him. According to the custom of those times, an exhibition of horses was arranged at Nagar. Therefore, people from all walks were engaged in work connected with it. Bala Sahib Mirkar, the Mamaldar of Kopargaon, was also present in Ahmednagar for that exhibition. After Dikshit's work was completed, he came there. How would it be possible for him to go to Shirdi? Who will take me there? Once the work had come to an end, his attention was on the way to Shirdi. Dikshit's intense desire was only for an opportunity to have Baba's darshan. Who will come to me? Who will take me before Baba and place me at his feet? These were Dikshit's dilemma. Once the work elections was over, Dikshit was only worried about how he would go to Shirdi. He respectfully requested Mirkar. Bala Sahib Mirkar was the son of Kaka Sahib Mirkar. They discussed among themselves as to who should go to with Dikshit. If any one of them would accompany him, then there would be no need of another. Then who would go definitely with him was being debated. A man who thinks of the ordinary solution, but God plans something else. For Dikshit's journey, something unexpected happened. On the side of this turmoil, on the other side, knowing the strong desire, Samartha Sai earned compassion. While Dikshit was driven by these thoughts, seating and worrying, Madhavrao came to the Nagar. Everyone was surprised. The father-in-law of Madhavrao had telegraphed him from Nagar that his mother-in-law was ill and he should come immediately with his wife. As soon as he received the telegram, he prepared to leave, obtaining Baba's permission. Both of them went to Chithali station. They caught the 3 o'clock train and both of them went to Nagar. They took a tonga from there and got down at the door. At the same time, Nana Sahib Fanse and Appa Sahib Gadre were also there in connection with the exhibition and was passing by that road. As Madhavra was alighting from the tonga, they saw unexpectedly. They were surprised that they could not contain their joy. Look at this. By the good fortune of Madhavra, who was a Sevakari of the Vithoba temple in here from Shirdi, who can get better than him to take Dikshit to Shirdi? Then, calling out to him, he said, Dikshit Kaka has come to Mirkars. Go and see him. Marvel Baba's Leela. Dikshit is our remarkable friend. You will get acquainted with him. He is very eager to go to Shirdi. Give this message to Madhavrao. They gave the information to Dikshit, whose anxiety was relieved. He was extremely pleased. When Madhavrao visited his in-laws, he found his mother-in-law was better. So he rested a while, then Mirkar sent for him. Respecting the invitation, a little after sunset, Madhavrao left to meet Dikshit. When Bala Sahib introduced him, it was the first meeting. Both of them decided to take the 10 o'clock train the same night. After this plan was decided, see the unusual thing that happened. Bala Sahib removed the curtain over Baba's portrait. This was a photograph of Baba, which was worshipped by Megha, a true devotee of Baba, with conviction that Baba was the holy three-eyed Shankar incarnate. Because the glass was broken, it was sent to Nagar with Bala Sahib for repair. This is how it initially left Shirdi. This picture, having been repaired, was in Mirkar's drawing room, covered with cloth as if it was waiting for Dikshit. Bala Sahib was to return it after the conclusion of the horse show, but there was yet some more time for that. Therefore, he entrusted it to Madhavrao. Removing the cloth, he uncovered it. He gave it to Madhavrao, keeping it. Go up to Shirdi happily in Baba's company. When he first cast a glance at that portrait, which was pleasing in all aspects, Kaka Sahib was filled with joy. After prostrating before it with reverence, he began to look at it, experiencing an unusual incident and seeing Sai Samartha's photograph unexpectedly, which was also pleasing and pure. Dikshit's eyes were riveted to it. He was greatly delighted that he, for whose darshan he was longing for, his portrait had come in, and it was there. It was a strange coincidence that it was Kaka Sahib Mirkar's house at the same time when Dikshit was there, having come earlier from Shirdi. It seemed that Sai Samartha had come in at Mirkar's residence under a pretext to fall Dikshit's heartfelt longing. At Lonavala itself, the attraction for the Guru had taken place. When he met Nana and talked in length with him, it was a seed sown for the meeting. Otherwise, why would the portrait of Shirdi come here? And so be it. After it was so decided, Madhavrao and Dikshit, taking the picture with them, set out happily. They both left for the station after dinner the same night. Right at the stroke of 10, the sound of the train could be heard. They also saw the second class compartment was crammed with passengers. The situation was such that both of them eagerly were greatly worried. The time was also short. What arrangements could be made and how? Be it so. Now, because of the overcrowding, both of them decided to return to their place and go next day to Shirdi. At that moment, Dikshit saw a guard of the train with whom he had an acquaintance. He easily made arrangements for them to travel by first class. Then, sitting in the train, they started talking about Baba to their heart's content. Madhav narrated nectar like stories. Dikshit was overflowed with joy. Thus, the journey was completed joyfully. Time passed very quickly. They reached Kopargaon. They alighted in a very happy mood. At the same time, they unexpectedly saw Nana Sahib Chandolkar at the station. Dikshit was full of happiness and they met each other. Nana too had come for Baba's darshan and was proceeding to Shirdi. All the three of them were amazed at this coincidence. Then the three of them hired a tonga and left on the way animatedly and talking. They had bathed in the Godavari on the way and reached the holy Shirdi. Later, after having Sai's darshan, Dikshit's heart melted and his eyes were filled with tears. The water of self bliss split and overflowed. I too was waiting for you. Then I sent Shama to meet you all the way to Nagar, spoke Sai clearly to him. Hearing these words, even poor in Dikshit's body was filled with joy. His throat was choked with emotion and his mind was full of happiness and he was sweating profusely. His body trembled, his mind was engrossed in self bliss, his eyes were half closed, and he was immersed in the cloud of joy. Today my eyes have served your purpose. Saying this, he embraced Baba's feet. He truly felt blessed and he couldn't contain in joy. Later years passed, his firm faith on Baba rooted, and he attained Sai's grace gracefully and buried his body in Sai's service. To serve Sai well, he built a house or an ashram in Shirdi and stayed there for many years. He spread Sai's fame. In conclusion, whoever longs for Sai is fulfilled by him. Sai is the abode of refuge for his devotees and the giver of ultimate joy to them. These are the mirror chakors for the moon, but the chakors there is just one moon. Similarly, a mother may have many sons, but for the son there is only one mother. For the sun, there are innumerable white lotuses, but for the lotuses, there is only one sun to give them the light of the day. There is no dearth of devotees for you, but Guruvar, you are only everything for them. For the cloud, there are numerous chataks, but for the chataks, there is only one cloud. Similarly, he has countless devotees, but for them, he alone is the mother, father, and everything for them. He respects and honors those who surrender to him easily with devotion. He fulfills their desires with effort, and this can be observed presently. All the living beings in this world will meet their end in the hands of death. Sai made Dikshit fearless of death, saying, I will take you in a plane. Dikshit's end came about as assured by Sai's words. He died with the words of Sai's glory on his lips. It happened before my very eyes. We both were sitting in the bench on the train, engrossed in stories of Sai Samartha, when he seemed to take off suddenly in the plane. He seemed to have unexpectedly seized the opportunity by placing his head on my shoulder. Dikshit suddenly attained the place in the plane and achieved heavenly bliss. There is no contradiction nor convulsion. There was no rattle nor throat. There was no any sharp pain. While his body was normal, with all faculties functional, his body became still. The mortal life was cast away, his light merged with his self. He established in real form by flying away. His light became one with Brahman. When he concentrated on Sai's feet, he completely lost his ego. His behavior was such that he was well content and had totally dedicated himself to the Lord. In Shakin 1848, that is AD 1926, in the Hindu calendar, month of Jesh, On Ekadasi day of the dark fortnight of the month, that is the 11th day of the wavering moon, Dixit attained union with the Lord, leaving the world of conditioned existence. Call it death or call it that his plane had arrived. He had merged at Sai's feet. Everyone is aware of the truth of this story. One needs to be free from such obligation. Anyone who believes that this must be deemed will be totally devoid of devotion. There is nothing in this world that one can give as a gift in lieu of this obligation. It cannot happen even in a dream. If one thinks of giving the chintamani, one will only increase one's daily anxieties. If one think of it as an obligation, it will be repaid by giving such an object is only a childish thought. Well, if one offers the kalpatru to the guru and tries to please him. The Guru, however, is skillful in granting something which is unchanging and free from one's debts and obligations to the Guru. Be it so. Instead of all this, if one gives paris to the Guru, then the paris will turn into gold. But the Guru will make one savior the divine knowledge. If one gives Kamadhenu to the Guru, believing that this is the way his obligation is repaid, one will only greatly increase one's own desires. The Guru is without any expectation and is a willing giver. If one gives the wealth of the whole world to the Guru in order to repay the obligation, can one repay it by illusionary or Maic objects when he has given the real or the amike? If one offers one body to the Guru, it is a perishable object. But if one offers one's life to him, then they know that is too illusionary. The Satguru is the bestower of real things. By offering him the illusionary objects, how can he be repaid? This is an impossible concept. Therefore, with complete singular faith, prostrate the whole body in salutation and place your head at the feet of the Satguru, remembering the benefits of and obligation he has conferred. Constant and eternal remembrance of benefits conferred by the Guru is the ornament of the disciple. He who tries to repay the obligation, the disciple loses its happiness. Listening so far to this story, listeners have a strong desire for more. Observing the eagerness, I will narrate a small story. The saints also express their brotherly love for other saints in accordance to the norms of people, or that they are they are very intent on bringing people together to adopt a particular way or creed to be known, or Sai himself that plays that part of those characters to achieve welfare of his devotees and to teach them spirituality. Listeners, please hear with respect a short story illustrating this. On the banks of Godavari, in a famous town of Rajamandri, Sri Vasudeva Anand encamped. His family name was Saraswati. He was a greater than the great, highly omniscient, and a devout and orthodox follower of Karma Marg. His fame was unending, like the Ganga reverberated and even the regions of the earth. Hearing about him by word of mouth, one Pundalik Rao and others residents of Nandan, who were devotedly, firmly decided to have faith, the darshan. Anyway, later on, the whole group left and came to Rajamandri on the banks of Godavari to have a darshan of Swami. As it was an auspicious morning, set out on the banks of Ganga for a bath. While chanting the stotras and the scriptures, the group found Swami sitting there and bowed to him with eightfold prostrations. In the natural course of their conversation about generality, Shirdi was mentioned. When Sai's name was heard by him, the Swami folded his hands in salutation and said, "He is my brother. who is desireless, and I have excessive love for him. Convey to him my salutations and request him to have mercy and grace on this humble one. Do not forget me and let your love grow for me uninterruptedly. Whenever you go to Shirdi next, offer this to my brother and reverence without fail. As a rule, these swamis are forbidden to do not go to anyone else. But I'm breaking this rule, and in the present context, can only be beneficial. Therefore, when you take Sai's darshan, do not forget this matter. Offer a coconut at Sai's feet without fail. After hearing these words, Swami Pundalikra bowed at his feet. I will act in accordance with the Swami's instructions. The fire, which is called the Dhuni by the people, was always in front of Baba and kept burning day and night. This was Baba's vow. Agni Otra and other such performances are prescribed for inner purification. Baba adopted this means to make people follow a particular way and to achieve Brahmanhood. Sri Vasudeva Ananda Saraswati was an ascetic and followed the same vow, being an Agnihotri. No wonder then he called Baba as his brother. Could he speak in vain? Later, before a month had passed, the opportunity arose for Pundalikara to set out for Sai's darshan, and taking four friends along with him, he took his bag a variety of fruits and remembered to take the coconut. They were all set. Later, they got off at Manmad. There was still little time for their departure and to a train to Kopargaon, and they were very thirsty and went to a nearby stream. As drinking water on empty stomach is harmful for the body, someone brought them a small bundle of chivada tied to the corner of the cloth to eat as a light snack. On putting a pinch of the chivada in the mouth, the chivada was found to be pungent. Without coconut, chivada was useless. The whole effort seemed wasted. Then one of them said, I remember a stratagem. Break the coconut and mix it with the chivada, then savor the taste. No sooner than the coconut mentioned they found ready in hand. There was no delay in breaking it. Mixing the chivada improved the taste. Thereafter, they drank water. The coconut was mentioned, and there was one in hand. Nobody asked to whom it was belonged to. Their hunger was so overpowering that they forgot. Be that as it may be, they sat on in Kopargaon and moved forward to their destination. On the other way, Pundalikara remembered the particular coconut. Seeing that Shirdi was nearby, Pundalikara was in a mental turmoil because that coconut was given by Vasudeva Anand had been mixed with the chivada by mistake. When he realized, he was thinking what a sin he had committed. He had earned the curse of a Swami. My lamenting over it is useless, for the coconut has been put into such a great trap. Pundalikra's mind was stunned and he was nonplussed. Now, what can I offer to Baba in this manner? How can I explain this matter? How can I show my face? I have lost the coconut. Pundalikra was very depressed, thinking about what would have made a light snack which had to be offered to Sai's feet. This is an insult to a saint. Now, when Baba asked for the coconut, all would have to hang their heads in shame, as they had made a light snack of it at Manmad. This was the turmoil. It would be a shame to tell the truth. To tell a lie would not serve any purpose, as Sai Maharaj is omniscient. Be it so. The whole group was filled with joy on taking Sai's darshan, and eyes were filled with tears with joy and faces reflected self bliss. Nowadays, we send wireless messages day or night and boast about it, taking pride to do so. For these buildings have been constructed with a lot of expenditure. The saints do not need these means. They send messages through telepathy. At that time, when Swami had given the coconut, had already sent a telepathic message to Sainath. When Pundalikra was taking darshan, Sai Baba on his own said, "Bring me the article which you have brought from my brother." Then the dejected Pundalikra held Sri Sai's feet and said, "What shall I say except beg for your forgiveness? I did remember the coconut, but to satisfy our hunger, we went to the stream and all of us forgot. Then we made a light snack of chivda. This coconut was broken and mixed with it. Therefore, I will bring another coconut. Please accept it without hesitation." Saying this, Pundalikra began to get up to get the fruit. Others saw Sai Maharaj and holded him in his hand, prevent him from going. "Unknowingly, I have broken faith. You merciful one, give me shelter. Forgive me, I am utterly guilty. I have disregarded the words of a virtuous saint like the Swami, and I have eaten the fruit which was offered to you. This is a transgression against a saint. Is there anything I can do to mitigate this sin? How impudent have I become?" Hearing this incident, Sri Sainath laughed and said, "Why did you take the coconut when you were not going to take care of it? My brother had full faith in your words, firmly believing that you would give the article to me. And what was the result of it? Is it your trustworthiness? My brother's desire remained unfulfilled. Is this how you work?" He added, "The worth of the fruit cannot be matched by giving any number of others. Whatever had to happen has happened. Why unnecessarily brood over it? It has only my result that Swami gave you the coconut and the fruit was broken by my violation. Why do you unnecessarily take doership? You are feeling guilty because you have ego. Just be egoless. You will be freed from guilt. Why is there pride in doing good or meritorious deeds? And why does one shirk away doing sinful ones? The result of both is the same. Therefore, act without the sense of doership. It had occurred to me that you should see me. Therefore, the coconut was entrusted in your hands. This is the truth. After all, you are my children. The fruit you have eaten is as good as offering it to me. Believe that I have firm faith when and I have definitely received it. When Pundalikra understood this, his mind calmed down and his anxiety dissolved gradually. The loss of the coconut was only a pretext for giving advice to clarify anxiety ridden minds. Thus, all of them who are full of pride become free of ego and felt blameless and guiltless. Now, listen to the experience of the third devotee, which is sweet and novel. It is indicative of Baba's immeasurable grandeur and greatness of authority. In Bandra Taluka, to the north of the township of Bandra, in Santa Cruz town, lived a devotee Durandar. All the brothers had love and reverence for saints. They had firm trust on Sri Ram. They had singular faith and was chanting Sri Ram's name. And uh, as they were chanting Sri Ram's name, uh, they did not like unnecessarily dabbling in the affairs of others. They lead simple lives, so did the children. Even the women in the family behaved in a faultless manner. Lord Vishnu, therefore, was indebted to them. Balram was one of them. He was the devotee of Vittal and a sacred celebrity. He was honored even in the princely court and was liked by all. This gem was born on 19th February 1878 to a mother who was a devotee of Sri Ram. This He was an ornament of the Patare Prabhu caste, a famous family in the lineage. In the year 1878, he was born in Bombay. He had Western education and was a qualified advocate. He was well versed and well known everywhere. He was a great devotee of Pandurang and extremely inclined towards spirituality. Though his family deity was Ram, he worshipped Vittal. All the brothers held good positions in the conduct. and was always righteous. As they came from the pure lineage, they had pure culture. But Balram was unexcelled. He had the ability to put forward well reasoned, substantiative, appealing arguments. He had simple and a pure way of thinking, a sharp intellect, but a good righteous behavior. These were his virtues. He had served continuously and written and published an account of it. On completing the work he had undertaken to attain spirituality in the field, he had surpassed others after completing Bhagavad Gita and Gyaneshwari and became proficient in these texts. He became a man of repute in Adhyata Dharma. He was a great devotee of Sai. He came one with the Supreme Spirit in 1925 at a young age. Listen to the short biography of him. On the 9th June 1925, after finishing his journey in this world, he merged into Lord Vitthal. On an auspicious day in April 1912, the opportunity arose for the Durandar brothers to have the darshan of Sai. 6 months earlier, his eldest brother Bapuji, along with Vaman Rao, had taken darshan and returned happily to have the sweet experience as they had. All others, including Balram, went to have benefit of the noble darshan. Even before their arrival, Baba openly said, "Today, several people from my darbar are going to come here." Hearing this loving remark, the Durandar brothers were greatly surprised that they had not intimated anyone about their trip. How did Baba come to know about this? Later, seeing Sai, they ran and embraced at his feet. Slowly, conversations began, and everyone was happy and contented. Besides, when he saw the people had gathered, Baba spoke again. "See, these are the people of the Darbar about who was coming," is what I told. And listen to what Baba said, "Every word is true. Remember this, that we know each other since the last 60 generations." Balram and his brothers, all of them full of humility, stood before Baba with their hands folded and gazing at the feet of Sri Sai. On having Sai's darshan, Balram and others felt extremely enthusiastic, devoted, and loving. They considered that their trip was worth after all their efforts. Their eyes were filled with tears, their throats were choked with emotion. They experienced holy creation over their bodies, and all had eight sattvic emotions filled in them. Seeing Balram's state, Sainath was pleased, and he began to talk to all of them, relating loving stories and giving them advice. He who worships, he who worships the moonlight will fortnight when the moon is waxing on when the moon is waxing on the fortnight offers me with love, and all sentiments are blessed. He who is with complete faith enrages himself in the search of the Guru. The Lord is indebted to him always. No one can view him with evil intentions. He who does not waste even half a moment is like is liking for the worship of the Lord and the Guru, they will give him infinite or perpetual happiness. Hearing such words, everyone's eyes was filled with tears of joy. Their minds were filled with happiness and their hearts filled with emotions. This garland of words of sigh was worn by all with obsessions. All were filled with joy. This was the reason why they were all filled with so much of devotion. So be it. They went later to the Vada and rested there after a meal. In the afternoon, they went again and prostrated before Baba. Balram, with great humility, began pressing Baba's feet. Then Baba extended the chillam to him and made a sign to him to smoke it. Then, considering the chillam as prasad, though he was not full, in the habit of smoking, Balram took a few puffs with difficulty and poured and handed it back to Baba, poured it to him with devotion. It was a fortunate day for Balram. From that day, his asthma was cured and he was well satisfied. This asthma had not troubled him just recently. He had been suffering from it for years, and yet it was cured as if a mantra had been whispered into his ear. The chillam had such power, for from the time he took a deep drawn paw into the chillam and returned it after bowing with humility, the asthma disappeared. But one day in between, when Balram got a cough, he was surprised that no one could understand the cause. Later, when they went deep into the matter, it was discovered that Baba had left his mortal coil on that day and had given an indication to his devotee. The day Balram got an attack of cough was the day when Baba surrendered his body onto the earth and gave an indication of it. From that day, he never suffered from cough till his dying day. Can anyone ever forget this experience of a chillam? That day was a Thursday and the day of the procession of the Chavadi. Therefore, the joy was multiplied twofold from 8 to 9 in the night before Baba in the courtyard. Bhajans were sung and beating of various instruments such as tal, mridang, etc. with greatest interest. The abangs were sung at one place while the palanquin was decorated in the other. Earlier, I have described the unique Chavadi procession in the chapter number 37. It will be a repetition here. Baba spent one night in the masjid and the next in the Chavadi. This was the routine of Baba till the end. To see the Chavadi celebration, loving Balram was filled with enthusiasm. Therefore, when the time for the Chavadi was there, all the Durandars returned. The men and women of the Shirdi village accompanied Baba, shouting acclamations with zeal, and started the Chavadi. The horse, whose name was Sham Sundar, was covered with a cloth woven with golden threads and ornamented. He led the procession and prancing ahead. Various musical instruments such as horn, large brass trumpet, and tutari was played. The ornamented Shama Karan, along with the palanquins, and the Sai was taken in procession. Sai walked along with the devotees as some held an ornamental umbrella under him. Some carried flags, paper decorations in their hand. Some held ornamental umbrellas on Shri's hand. Some waved whisks and peacock feathers. Others holding torches surrounded them by all sides, taking the harmonious mridang, tal, gol, and other sweet sounding instruments. A multitude of devotees walked on either side of Baba doing bhajans, be it at it may. When this beautiful procession before Chavdi, Baba stopped facing on the north direction, made his ritualistic movements with his hand. On the right hand of Baba was Bhagat Malsapati, worked holding the fold of Baba's garment, and on the left worked Tatya Patil holding a lantern. Baba's complexion was gold hued, and when the light of lamps fell on it, it was shown like a yellow gold mixed with copper. The beauty of his face was like the light of dawn. Blessed was the pure darshan of that moment. Baba stood facing the north in deep concentration, and it seemed as if he was summoning someone as he partially raised his right hand. From there, he was further taken to the Chavdi and made to take a seat with great honor. Beautiful ornaments and clothes were offered to him, and sandalwood paste was smeared on his limbs. Sometimes an agrity of jewels worn in the turban was offered, sometimes gem studded ornaments for the turban, sometimes plume, sometimes a gold ornamented crown, some gold embroidered cloak. Necklaces of diamonds, pearls, and emerald were put around Baba's neck lovingly. Some adorned his forehead with a round mark of fragrant musk. Some washed his feet and worshipped them. Some applied saffron and other fragrances. to the body and put betel leaf in his mouth. They waved the 5 week lamp, filling it with camphor over Baba. The beautiful of this visage was beyond compare. The luminosity surrounding Sai's face made him appear exactly like the image of Pandurang. Durandar was stupefied to see it, just as no one can hear to bear to see the flash of lightning in the sky. Similarly, the effulgence of Sai's forehead when it shone blinded all eyes. The Kakararti used to take place in the early morning. Durandar and the others went there. They too saw the same luster on Baba's face. From then on, till he died, Balaram had complete faith at Sai's feet. It was definitely established and it never wavered even a little bit. Hemad surrenders at Sai's feet. This the book will be concluded in the next chapter. In the narration, there will be a review. Give me your attention for the last time. May there be well being. This is the end of the 51st chapter of the Shri Sai Samartha Satcharita, written by the devotee Hematman, impelled by saints and virtuous people, called a triad of stories of three devotees. This is offered to Sri Satguru Sainath. May there be auspiciousness. Om Sai Ram. Let us now do the Aarti. Shri Sachidanand Satguru Sainath Maharaj ki jai. शिर्डी माझे पंढरपूर साई बाबा रमावर बाबा रमावर साई बाबा रमावर शुद्ध भक्ती चंद्र बघा भाव पुंडली कंजागा पुंडली कंजागा भाव पुंडली कंजागा याव याव अवके जना करा बाबा श्रीवंदन साई श्रीवंदन करा बाबा श्रीवंदन अनुपने बाबा साई पाव पाव माझे आई पाव माझे आई पाव माझे आई गणेल तांगन बने कचरण तुयसी पाइन रूप तुझे प्रेमीन रंगीन अनंत पूजिम भवेम महिन बने नमः तमेव माता पिता त्वमेव तमेव बन्धु सदा त्वमेव तमेव विद्या जैरगमेव तमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव पायेन माचा प्रसन्नियर्म मुद्यकला वापतन स्वभाव करोमि अद्यं सकलतरस्मै नारायणा इति समर्पयामि अच्युतं केशवं राम नाम नरेणं कृष्णदामोदरं वासुदेवं हरे केशवं माधवं गोपिकावल्लभं जानकीनायकं रामचन्द्रं हरे हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे श्री गुरुदेव दत्त सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय. Om Sai Ram. I urge all the devotees to read one chapter of the Sai Satcharitra daily and soak in Baba bliss. Baba bless you. Om Sai Ram.